A question from the jurors, but no verdict in the first day of deliberations in the Governor Whitmer kidnapping plot trial. Thank you for joining us this Monday afternoon on 7 Action News at 5. I'm Glenda Lewis. The evidence being weighed at a federal courthouse in Grand Rapids, each of the 4 men charged facing life in prison if convicted. 7 Action News reporter Simon Shayket live in Grand Rapids with the latest on what jurors are examining. Simon, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Glenda. The jury just went home for the day without a verdict, but they did have a question for the judge specifically asking for the legal definition of a weapon. Inside a federal courtroom in Grand Rapids, the U.S. government has put on 13 days of testimony filled with what's described as anti-government hate, planning, and training for a secret mission to kidnap the governor. Fueled by anger over COVID restrictions 2 years ago, 4 defendants allegedly planning to kill Governor Whitmer as part of a sinister plot.
There are 4 defendants in this case, and not everyone is charged with the same crime. Some of them are charged with weapons offenses and some of them are not. So they'll have to carefully go through each and every defendant.
Former U.S. Attorney Matthew Schneider has watched the case unfold closely and says the jury was told to ignore media reports. Instead, to focus on whether or not each defendant is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, based on evidence and witness testimony of more than 30 people. Adam Fox, Barry Croft Jr., Daniel Harris, and Brandon Caserta, all accused of conspiracy. The judge saying a key part of that is, quote, a mutual understanding, either spoken or unspoken, between 2 or more people in the group.
The theory is don't judge a book by its cover. The defense is saying, look, we might have talked big, we might have had bad language to the governor, we might not have liked her or the government, but don't judge us by that. Look at what we actually did, and we didn't do a lot, if anything. And what the government is saying is the same thing. They're saying, don't look at just what they did, what they said, look at what they did, look what their actions were. And their actions were that they actually went and gathered money to buy a bomb. They actually went to that bridge and they looked under the bridge to see if they could blow it up. They actually went to the governor's residence and they scoped it out.
Fox, Croft, and Harris also facing a weapons charge as the judge told the jury, quote, deciding what the facts are is your job, not mine. The FBI informant information and testimony of 2 men who already pled guilty also critical for jury review. Since their arrest in October 2020, defense attorneys have called the allegations smoke and mirrors, lacking a real plan or agreement to make good on any of the talk being discussed, and they've alleged entrapment on the part of the feds.
What's been the most difficult burden for the prosecution to reach looking back?
They have to be able to convince the jurors that this wasn't the government's idea. And even if the government was part of the idea, they weren't really responsible for this.
Again, jury deliberations ending just after 4:30 today. We'll be back here tomorrow to bring you the very latest developments just as soon as they happen. Live in Grand Rapids, Simon Shayket, 7 Action News.
All right, Simon, thank you. And stay with 7 Action News. We will have continuing coverage as jury deliberates. We'll be on top of this and any new developments, both on air and online at WXYZ.com.